Hey, I'm Miss Cindy and welcome to Kids Paint Night. Today we are going to paint a sunflower. So this is what it's going to look like. So make sure your canvas is going this direction. And the first thing we're going to need is yellow. So take a round brush with your yellow and make a line right in the corner, kind of rounded. That is going to be the line for the inside of the sunflower. And then we're going to have the petals coming this way. So then make some petals. You want them to be pointy on the outside and then come down and in towards the middle. Depends on how big you make them, on how many you're going to fit in. But you want some space in between. So I think I'm going to do 3.5 or 4. So come out. That was not pointy enough. Fix it. Okay, so then go ahead and paint those in with your yellow. Try not to get it too heavy with paint. Okay, so now that your first layer of petals is down, you want to do your second layer. So what you're going to do is you're going to put them in between the other petals, but you're going to, like on the ends, you'll only see like half a petal, but it's going to overlap so it's near the middle of that one. So I'm going to start from here and work my way up that way. I know you can't see it where it overlaps, but you know it's there. Okay. And over here. Okay, then go ahead and paint those in. Remember, don't leave it too heavy of paint, too thick all over. Okay, so now what you're going to do, actually I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can get to it better, is you're going to add a little bit of orange streaks to it. But first what I'm going to do is, not sure what order I told you to do it in, but I am going to paint the inside orange. So just use a round brush And if it mixes in with the yellow, it doesn't matter. So just go ahead and paint the whole inside of the sunflower, the middle of it, orange. It doesn't matter if you go over the yellow a little bit and it mixes in. We're going to put another layer on there anyway. But try not to put it too thick. So just keep spreading out your paint so it's not too thick. Now, while that's done, take our black and actually try to use a skinnier brush. I think I'm going to try this one. And take your black. And now you have to kind of remember where your petals were. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to picture where the petal is, like this one right here. And I'm going to come across and I'm going to kind of give it a little bit of an outline. And you only want to do the inside of the petals first because those are going to be the top ones that you see where the outline is. Where see on this one, you only can see this part of the outline. So if we put in the lower part of the outline, you'll see it through the yellow. We don't want to do that. So you kind of have to guess because everything is yellow right now. Kind of have to make it up. And you don't have to do it real thick. You just want it to have a little bit of an outline, just so you know where your petals are. One so I can get to it better. Okay, so just like that, and now you're going to go back and you're going to do the underneath layer of the petals. You're going to stop when you get to that top petal. Actually, I am going to turn this around this way so I could reach it better. It's okay. So the back layer of the petals, you're only going to partially see the outline like that. You're not going to see the whole thing. All right, so then after you outline it, you are going to need some orange, and we're going to make the streaks in it. So take your brush and see how the little streaks are. You can lighten your orange because this is pretty dark of an orange, so I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a little bit in here, and I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow, and I'm going to mix it up together to make a lighter orange. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just kind of what I decided to do today. All right, so what you want to do is you don't want big, thick lines to do your streaks in. And your bottom petal, remember, you have to stay in the black lines. So like this one, you don't want to like cross the black line, because then you'd have a streak that's in one petal that would look funny because it's actually going to be in both petals, and you don't want that. So just kind of make some lines. If your paintbrush has got too much paint on it, you can wipe some of it off. Kind of need more of a dryish brush. Oops, and make sure your black is dry, because mine was not, and I have black streaks now. I'm gonna wash that off. And if you got too much orange, what you could do is go back with yellow and try to go right over it again to try to get rid of it. I don't like the way this one looks, so I'm going to kind of soften it up a little. Okay. So you don't want much on your brush at a time. Like I said, if you have too much, you can always go back through. Oh, I got black on there again. You might want to make sure your black is dry before you go on. I did not, and now I am paying for it. Okay. Want your petals to have some highlights and streaks so they look more like a real petal and not all one color. So you can just go back and forth with your orange and your yellow and just kind of get your streaks in there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take some of the black. I'm going to take this little orange that I made right here, because I'm not going to need that anymore anyway. And I'm going to take some black and mix it in there. I'm looking for like a brownish, blackish color. Kind of about like that. Actually, I'm going to switch brushes because this is my better brush. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to dab on the center of the sunflower. You're just going to do this all over it to make the seed part of the sunflower. And go over the edge a little bit and just dab it all over. You want to be able to see the orange underneath. You don't want to cover it up completely, but you want to cover it up pretty good too. It's up to you how much though. Just kind of dab it over this side up by the petals that way. No right or wrong. And then too, when you dab it like that, it's got a texture to it instead of just painting it flat. Probably could do it with a little piece of sponge too and do sponge painting on it. And try not to like flatten your brush a whole bunch. You don't want to like smash it down. You don't want to ruin your brush. But you just want to dab it all over. So see how you still have some of the orange showing. It's not completely covered. got rid of that line so you can't see the line where you actually drew the, you know, that you did for the center. You just want to cover that up. So about like that. If it's too light, you can always take a little bit of black and just dab a little black on it too. It gives it a little bit more texture, a little bit more dimension that way. You don't have to though, but you can. Okay, there we go. All right, so then the next step is going to be our background. And with the background, you're going to need 3 colors. Let me get my brush wet. Okay, so the first one is the white, and a flat brush works best for this. If you have a flat brush. All right, so I'm going to take a bunch of white and put it on my paper plate. And I'm going to take some green and put it on my plate. And a little bit of blue on my plate. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this off. Too much extra on there. Okay. Let me wash that off a little bit. These I'm done with. Let's move those out of the way. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to paint with 3 colors at one time. You're not going to mix them up on your plate because you want the stripes. See how this one's got stripes? You can see the you can see the 2 different colors, and the white lightens them both. So what you want to do is you want to first dip your paintbrush in the white and cover the edge of it. See, like that? And then you're going to put 1 corner in green and 1 corner in blue. Okay, I'm going to show you at the top so you can see it best. And then what you're going to do is you're going to paint back and forth. And you're going to end up with stripes. So go back, get some more white, your green, your blue, and then go back and forth. So you want your colors to blend on the canvas, but not so much that you don't see the stripes, because you want to see the stripes. The toughest part is at the top, at the end of the canvas. So I'm going to go back and do that part. I'm going to start here though and keep going this way. Just keep going back and forth until you get to the sunflower part. That's where it's going to get the tricky part too. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of this. The end of the canvas is always the hardest to get rid of the ends. So I'm just going to go over it like that and then go back over it this way. Now if you have trouble like I am where my canvas is not getting covered all the way, just kind of dab it a little bit. Get that color into the canvas and then go back over it. Just don't keep going until you have it all one color. We want the streaks with the blue and the green. When when you get near the sunflower, move that one out of the way, you might have to switch to a different brush that's a little smaller. You can always go back over these black lines if when you're doing this you accidentally go over them. You fix the end of this. And since the pattern's the stripe is just more random, it doesn't matter if you have some parts that go like that don't cover all the way, so you might have only part of a stripe. All right, so with this, what I would do is in between, oops, went too far. Go in between and then go back over it like that. So take a little bit of both colors and try to get as close as you can without going too far over it. Kind of do it on an angle at first, and then you can go back through and go like that. Straighten it out. And if any time your stripes are kind of going away and you're kind of ending up with a solid background, just take one of the colors and put it on your brush and go back through. Like if all of a sudden you have like very greenish looking painting, just take some blue on your brush and add some blue and go back across. Like I said, you can always touch up those black lines for your flowers. You don't want the background like way dark. That's why you want to put the white in there too when you do this. Otherwise it would be very dark. You don't want it quite that dark. Okay, so kind of like that. All right, I think we're good. Now I am going to take, while that is drying, I am going to take a little bit of the black and I'm going to go back through and I'm going to fix a little bit of where I went over. Not very much, just a little bit, just to touch it up a little bit. Next thing we're going to make are some little swirlies, these parts. That's just for decoration. Really doesn't serve any purpose, just a little decoration though. So what I'm going to do is take the blue and the green, mix it together, make a dark tealy greenish color, depending on what you have most of in it, which color it'll look more like. I'm going to add more of the blue. It's very dark, but we want it darker because we want it to show up on here. We don't want to add white to it so it doesn't show up. So now I'm just going to make some little swirls. I would wait till your background is dry before you do this part. They'll show up better because actually what I'm doing is when I'm doing it, because my background is still kind of wet, I'm kind of pulling up the paint that's underneath it. So wait till yours is dry and make make your little swirls. Okay, turn this to be the last one. And this one we'll go this way with. Like I said, these are just decoration, so there's no right or wrong to them. Just to add something to it. Okay. And then what I also had on there was some light green little dots. Let me show you. See, I just have these little dots that you can hardly see, but you know they're there. So what I'm going to do is, I keep getting full of paint, I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm going to add a bunch of yellow to it. We'll see how that comes out. I just kind of want to make a lighter green. Alright, that's good. I'm just going to make some little dots then. You can put them wherever you want. I'm just following along like where I got this from. Little fancy thing. All right. Let me see. Am I going to do any more? You know what? I want to put a couple here and here. They like when you do things in odd amounts too, so most of them I did in 3s. All right, and that is it. Don't forget to put your initials on it, and you are all set. And thanks for coming, and I will see you next week when we will do next week's painting. All right, thank you.